Hi, I'm Pastor Brook McBride from Bear Creek, and today I want to introduce a study I'm going to do on prayer. Uh, as a pastor, as a person of Christian faith, I have wrestled all my life with what just prayer is. I remember as a young pastor going into the hospital room of someone who was dying and feeling so much pressure on me, like I had to explain all the things that were happening, like I had to defend God in that moment, like I was the only person there that had Christ in them. And I felt so much pressure about that. And much of it is I didn't know what I was doing when I was praying. I was struggling with it, and I didn't know what my purpose of prayer was for that moment. And so today, I want to just share a little bit of some of the things that I do and have learned about prayer. And the first thing I want you to think about is, why do we pray? What is prayer's purpose? I struggled with that for a long time, but I think I've come to a good place with that. My primary purpose for prayer is to move the center of who I am from being selfish, from being me-oriented, to what I like to call a third place. We live in a world that is very dualistic, us versus them, me versus you. We grew up in a competitive place where we were always in a basketball game or a football game or in debate. I remember I was in debate, and debate was all about trying to find every little minute detail so that I could offensively or defensively win the battle against whoever I was up against. We live a lot in this world full of that dualism, and I don't think it's a healthy place for us to be. So what I am doing in prayer is I'm trying to move out of that us versus them mentality in my heart and move to that third place, which is all about we. It's all about connecting with others and with the holy, the sacred, with God. So there's a couple things I do for this. First of all, I like to breathe. There's something very holy and very sacred about our breath. And so oftentimes that's all it takes for me, is to get in touch with that inner breath inside of me. And so I take deep breaths in and out. That helps me center. The second thing I like to do is I like to take my hands and clench them up, because oftentimes when I'm in the most need of prayer, I'm tense and I've got a lot of things going on. And I want to take that fist, which is also often the us versus them world, and I want to relax it and get my palms up. There is really some scientific theory here that when we put our palms up like this when we're listening to someone else, we're going to listen so much better. Our hearts are going to be open. So it's like my heart clenched, hard, bitter, broken, and I let that heart open up. Very important for me to do. The third thing I do is an image that I try to think and use when I'm often speaking of God. This is an image rooted in Scripture, but I love the image of God as a river. The 46th Psalm talks about, "For there is a river that runs through the city of God, and God is in the midst of her." That river, there is a river cutting through our lives that is God. And also Amos, the 5th chapter of Amos, and the 24th verse talks about God like the God of justice, like a waterfall, like a river, a powerful river running through the world with goodness and righteousness and justice. Paul speaks about that when he says when we're in the most trouble, we need to focus on whatever is good, whatever is loving, whatever is pure. So that's something I like to put my attention on, as I believe that through every situation, through every part of our world, there is a river. Sometimes we can't see it, and sometimes it's covered up by all the other stuff that's going on in this world, often evil. But underneath it all, through it all, there is this river, and that is one of my intentions of prayer, is to get in touch with that river. So take that piece for a minute, and I want you to think about it, pray about it, and think about what you're thinking about in prayer. And maybe you can refocus here and move to that third place and focus not on the troubles of this world, but instead on that stream of righteousness and justice that is God in this world.